Hola, ¿cómo estás? Welcome to my channel. I go by Mercedes Lens, and here we discuss and analyze many topics, and you get a sneak peek through my lens on said topics. We have fun here, so if you're down for that, sit back, grab your ice cream because I definitely have mine, and let's get into the video. We are gathered today discussing and analyzing another wonderful episode of Divorce Court. If you don't know what that is, I suggest you go back to my introduction video because I will not be going into that this time. I suggest you go back and watch it. We're gonna get into this video, so let's go.
Okay, so today's episode is revolved around Porcha Willingham and Jeric Pierce. Porcha is 30 years old. She's a clerical medical assistant. Jeric is 34 years old, is a travel agent, has 3 kids and a possible, like we're in spades. If you know, you know. And they have no kids together. They're from Memphis, Tennessee, and they've been together for 10 months and married for 4. Porcha wants a divorce because she doesn't know if she's married to Jeric Pierce or Jay Rizzle. I don't know what type of name is that. I don't know. She doesn't know which one she got when she married him. She loves him but doesn't trust him. She knows that he cheats on her with other women. Child, that would be a no-brainer for me. However, she knows that he cheats on her. High-key present tense and not past tense. Hell no. She says if he doesn't change, then she's going to leave. Jeric stands on the fact that he's the breadwinner. Therefore, he runs the house and makes the rules. For every time that he says something along those lines or says that, if you were to take a shot for every time he does, you'd be on your way to the ER. However, that's basically the premise, his introduction, what he stands on. This is an entire episode. So let's dive a little further. So Judge Toler begins with Porcha, and she says that Jeric doesn't trust himself and therefore doesn't trust her. Valid. She knows that he cheats with other women. Okay. And the possible 4th baby was the only mention after the birth of the baby. So she had no idea until after he had the baby that it could possibly be his. Child, all types of hell knows. But at that point, when he told her, he probably knew she wasn't going nowhere. And the baby's 5 months old at this point. Porcha further explains that she has gotten messages from other women, has saw conversations between him and other women to prove that he's cheating. And she brought them to the court from apparently days ago, 2 days ago.
Oh,
bruh. If I still have messages proving that my spouse, my husband, was still cheating from days ago, we're getting a divorce. There's no need to talk. The only thing I'm here to say is, how can I sign these papers? You have proof from a couple of days ago that this man is still cheating on you. Why are we here? Period. So Porcha brings the messages and the proof to court for the judge to read. The judge reads them out loud, and baby, they are a mess. Porcha explains how she got the messages after the person kept calling the phone real late at night, and she confronted the woman. This dude is bold, super bold. So Judge Toler looks to him for a response about these messages. All he said was, that's not how she got those messages.
I beg your pardon?
I beg your pardon?
It's supposed to matter how she got them. The bottom line is she has them. She brought them to court. Judge read them out loud. What's your response? Anyway, he says that he's not cheating on her. So, side note, this whole entire time on the show, he barely answers questions directly. He always deflects or reroutes or try to point something else out to kind of get the heat off of him. Anyway, we'll get to it. So he goes back after Judge asks him, is this all this true? And he explains that while he was sleeping, she used his finger to unlock his phone, and that's how she saw the messages. And Judge was like, good for her, because you shouldn't be doing it in the first place. Anyway, Judge Toler continues to read the messages, and Jeric interjects and says Porcha is secretive too.
Well.
Projection is when it comes to him. But Judge Toler says, hold up.
Wait a minute.
Let me finish. And she finishes reading the messages. She then asks him what's it all about. And he blames Porcha secretive ways for why he moves the way he moves.
I beg your
Okay. He continues on with his BS narrative and says that she has a lot of guy friends on Facebook, and he had to shut her Facebook down because she was supposedly communicating with her ex through Facebook. Judge Toler asks if he found that to be hypocritical since he's actually sleeping with other women versus her just supposedly talking to her ex. And he's going to say, oh, well, I'm the head of the household.
What did he say?
And like he leans into that narrative the whole episode as if that's supposed to mean, oh, it's okay. No, sir, it's not okay. Newsflash. Anyway, so I do swear that whole I'm the head of the household is like his draw for ending Uno trump card. Anyway, Judge Toler gets him together real quick and asks him, how can you be the head of the household if you're not a faithful husband? And side note, y'all gotta watch like every single one of these court shows, especially like Judge Mathis, but divorce court, you gotta watch the audience because baby, their faces be giving and it be hilarious sometimes, like the responses and the claps and everything like that. Baby, it's hilarious. But back to it. So Judge Toler asks him, how could he be the head of the household if he's not even a faithful husband? He didn't really know how to answer that because you can't answer that. Judge continues and says that there are rules to being the head of household and says that if he's basing it on the Bible, she'll tear him up with that too. She said, because in the Bible, you got to love your wife. You have to honor your wife. You can't cheat on her. So you can't claim those rights when you're not taking care of your responsibilities. So stop that and get off of it. A word, honey, and mother word. Okay, this dude is clearly a bum in all ways. Anyway, so she continues to lay him out and lay into him more and more, and saying that the side chick is causing stress to his household, or because he doesn't have enough sense to stay at home. His response was his wife is putting herself as a side chick as well.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Like, what are you saying? What are you saying? Like, that doesn't make any type of sense. Judge Lynn Toler then asks him, well, who is she the side chick to? And he gonna say her boyfriend from Facebook.
What?
Like, boy, sit down. He claims that she hides messages and gets rid of the Facebook app on her phone, and she keeps everything on a jump drive. With no proof, by the way. Yeah, it was a nice chuckle for me. So basically his evidence was, oh, he thinks that she's cheating via Facebook with no evidence, even though she has all types of evidence showing that he's cheating. So Judge Lynn Toler shifts the focus on issues with the baby mamas. And so Portia only met one of the baby mamas, and Jeric immediately jumps in and says that he doesn't feel like she needs to meet any more of them at the moment, and it's not the right time. Well, that's your whole wife now, so why don't you feel like she should be ready to meet them, especially if there's no beef between them? It's very weird. Very weird. He claims that it wouldn't go over well with the baby mamas if his wife were introduced to them. Like, why though? You can come up with your own reasons as to why you think that is, but for him to actually admit that, he gotta know that's not a good look. Like, what is it? Is it the relationship between you and them? How is the relationship? Is it good, bad? Or are they still thinking they're gonna get back with you? Like, that's all types of messed up. You think that your wife meeting them won't go well? All types of issues with that. Judge Toler says that he's confused. So Portia explains that everything is so secretive when it comes to his baby mamas. So that's why she doesn't like it. If he's on the phone with them, he will go to the other room so she can't hear.
I beg your pardon.
His reply was he didn't want her to hearing things that might upset her.
What? Child. Anyway, so
what would you say that would upset her other than sweet nothings? You know what I'm like? Just his answers really floored me. And at this point, I'm not gonna lie, I started to look at Portia real sideways. Like, I was giving her the
bombastic side eye, criminal offensive side eye
at first. However, like, the more she talked and the more scenarios that was brought up, when I tell you, like, my head like really turned to the side and looked at her like weird. Like, girl, why are we here? Like, that's literally what I'm saying to myself. Why are we here?
Why are we here?
Why? Anyway, he says that him and his baby mamas aren't on good terms, which, okay, that happens. I get it. And there are ways that he talks to them that he doesn't want Portia to hear. I'm sure. He says that he doesn't want her to hear how he puts them back in order. And he's trying to get Portia back in order too.
What did he say?
Ooh. Anyway, so then they shift the focus to the tracking devices that they have on each other's phones. Jeric says that if he turns his location off, then he starts to get phone calls immediately. Meanwhile, she doesn't have hers on. This was unnecessary, but before they moved on to basically how he can share his body with everybody else but his own wife. He says that he doesn't want to go rounds and rounds and rounds and rounds like she does. He just wants to do it once and call it a day. He says that one time it took her so long to arrive that they were caught by his mama.
It was supposed to give, but it did not give what needed to be gave to the highest
Of giving. If that makes any sense.
He keeps trying to throw in the idea of her sharing her body with somebody else. So Judge Toler moves on to the possible fourth baby. And he hopes that he is his son, but he doesn't 100% know. Portia feels like that if it is his baby, then that's going to cause more financial strain on the marriage because they're already financially involved with his 3 other children. And he seems like he doesn't want Portia involved in any capacity with his other children. And how do you not want your wife involved with your kid? That's weird. I mean, it's not like she treats them wrong, according to, what was said. It's just, he just comes off as being shady. None of his reasonings connect. Like, he's consistently unreasonable. But he seems like he doesn't want Portia involved in any capacity with his other children. But her being the person that she is, she wants to treat them like her own. And Judge lets him know that that's a good thing because not everyone is welcoming and wants to take in somebody else's kids as their own. So long story short, they get a DNA test and it turns out that the fourth baby is not his baby. And he asks if he can get his name back. Like, Lord, you're gonna have to deal with that outside of this court. But in the midst of that, he says that he feels betrayed that the baby isn't his. And in that moment, Judge Toler really tries to connect, like take that vulnerability moment and try to connect that to the vulnerability that Portia had, and says the same way you're feeling betrayed is the same way Portia feels betrayed when you go out and cheat on her and talk to these other women and have relations with other women, and tries to bring in another perspective that he can understand and have empathy for his wife based on how he's feeling, right? And so she asked him if he can understand that, and he was like, yeah, a little bit, but he still stands on the fact that he's the man of the house and the way he runs it is how it's supposed to be. What he says goes, pretty much.
What did he say?
Disappointed!
Then Judge was like, okay. So with this narrative, Judge was like, okay, well, since you say that, does that mean when you married her, your vows was like, I'm going to have relations with other women? And he circles back to not answering, but deflecting and was like, well, she's secretive too. Like,
Disappointed!
bruh. So he feels like it's justified because he feels like she's secretive. Okay. His exact words was, I think it's grounds for it.
Well.
Bro, I'm so tired of him, and at this point, Judge was too. So then she moves on to her final word. Okay, so Judge Lynn pretty much focuses on Portia for most of her word, honey. And so she balls up the paper that she was writing because basically there's no hope for whatever she was going to try to say. So Judge Lynn Toler says to Portia that the only thing worse than being married for 10 months is being married 11 months. He has no morals. He doesn't care about her and doesn't do right by her. Tries to control her and wants her to stay idle as he runs around and does whatever he wants to do like he's single. She says that he's not a man of the house because he doesn't defend his house. He doesn't defend his wife. He doesn't take care of her. He has no empathy for her. And the excuses that he gives are ludicrous. He doesn't want to do better, nor does he pretend to want to do better or can do better. She tells Portia that she absolutely deserves better and I agree. She says for Portia to move on and ends it with run. And she's absolutely right. She didn't really have much to say to him other than he has no morals, grow a conscience, but she knows it's going to go right over his head. He didn't really appreciate, the advice that Judge gave to Portia, but
I don't give a
and so that pretty much ends it there. I did find an update, and this time it was a good update. Portia eventually ended up divorcing Jeric and got remarried with the baby. And supposedly Jeric was in jail. Last update that I saw. Is he out now? I'm not sure. But that was the end of that wild and crazy but straightforward episode. So if you enjoyed this, please feel free to let me know your thoughts. If you enjoyed this episode, please feel free to come back. I do this every week along with other content that I'm working on that's coming up soon. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and until we meet again, bye.